So EQS. So I'm not going to spend time making a map, but I've made a map yesterday to save me a little bit of time. So let's go to the levels, EQS map. Here we go. And I'm going to get rid of what I've got in here in terms of characters at the moment. Okay, so when I start at the moment, it's just a third-person character thing. That's all we've got at the moment. I just use the default. If you didn't start a project with it, you can always go to Add New, and you can go to Content Pack, and in here you can add the content. I didn't know about this for ages, and so if I ever started the wrong one, I was like, oh, I needed this thing, I'd make a new project. And no, you can just import it this way. And then what that does is you'll see it adds down the project folders that you get from that. Devout! Thank you so much for 13 months of subscribing, you beautiful person. Well, the Lentil Stew Dragon, are we forgetting the Devout name forever now? I'll miss it. Oh, you've renamed your name, Fatness. I'll never forget. Never. Yes, you shall. You shall. I have 2 accounts. Okay, well, you've answered my question, what game dev engine you use now, since you told me you're a game developer. What's your experience with game dev then? Are you new to it? Are you just a hobbyist? Do you... Okay, so we've got this area. The reason I've done this is just because we're going to try and use the environmental query system now. And what that does is you can tell it to generate a bunch of points. You can specify how to generate those points. So we can do like a grid. Let's go top down. So we can make it where it's like a uniform grid. You can do like a donut around a point. You can do like some swirly patterns and stuff as well as a way of generating points. And each one of those points is going to be evaluated. And how it gets it, and it'll be given a score. So, and the highest score will then be chosen as a point. And you can use that information as part of your behavior tree then. So we're going to have a little look at trying to set up something similar to that. I'm going to go through the different steps that were needed. So, first off, we're going to redo it as well, because I've got an example here that I've already done here. But we'll try and just go with it, make it again, right? So I think I'll probably make a new folder, just so we can go over it and try and learn it. We'll just call this EQS. Let's just call it MGC for EQS. We'll try and go through what is needed in here. So, I mean, we need a character that we can move around from. And I think we can use my spectator one if I wanted, right? So if I just go to none here and I press play, I think I'll spawning as the Dan spectator pawn thing. Yeah, Dan default pawn there, so I can move around. We can do that. I don't mind. We'll do it first person rather than using that third person character. You don't actually need that to follow along with this. Yeah, well, the interesting thing with Lentil Stew Dragon is he had to change his name as because he lost a bet that he made with a viewer, and then he just enjoyed the name. Okay, so cool. We've got a little character that we can play with. And there's a few things that we need to do. I don't know this off the top of my heart, so I'm going to be looking at references or looking at what I did last time to try and help me remember. So, first off, I've made there's an EQS pawn class, and you can use that to visualize your queries as you're making them. So it exists already, but you'll need to make a blueprint of it, I believe, because if you go EQS, I've made a blueprint of this already. All you have to do is you just click in wherever you want to make something, blueprint class, and you type in EQS, and you should see the testing pawn here. So I'll do this. We'll make another one just to show that you can do that. I'll just call this EQS test pawn. Okay. So I can drop this in a level, and it doesn't do anything as we see it right now. That's okay, because we haven't given it like a query to run. So by here, if we click on our test pawn, isn't there a bit where you give it Where's the bit where you tell it what to use? Because I don't think I actually used the test form. We'll have a look in the set. There's a documentation on this anyway, so. We'll find out. Oh, am I in world settings? There we go. That's why I was confused. There we go. Okay. EQS template. This is what I was looking for. So this is the template. You're going to build up a query and you can give it to it and it'll show you how it would look. So then you can imagine if this is your AI, when it runs the query, imagine it like a database query. You're saying, hey, database, give me data that matches this criteria. You're doing the exact same thing. The database, you tell it the SQL or whatever way you want to look at this, and then it'll give you back a list of results. And then you can get the highest scoring result and use that. Welcome back, Merlin. I didn't know you had a dog, Merlin. Remind me in 5 minutes to put the kettle on, would you, someone? Okay, good. So we have started. Hey, thank you. Always a pleasure to see you, Crew Castle. Hopefully you can find work and get back into a comfortable position, good man. You look after yourself. Yes, that'd be great, Merlin. It'd be nice to see your doggos. Okay, so we need a couple of things from here. So let's go into AI. We've got a behavior tree and a blackboard already, right? So we might use the same one if we can. So environmental query. And this is a way for you to... This is your way of querying, and you can set up some rules on it, right? I don't know what this is going to do yet, so let's just call it... mQuery 1. We'll rename this once I have a clue what it's going to do. So I guess in this as well, we might take our simple AI. Just disconnect this from now. Yeah, let's take this like we've done with the rest of them. Oops. Let's take these and comment them and just say this is go towards a sensed actor using a AI sensing, perception component. Perception component. I can't read that text either, by the way. I'm just hoping I'm writing it correctly. So let's alt click on that line to break it. I think, is it alt? Shift? Control? What the? It was alt. It just wouldn't let me do it from that distance, which is strange. Nevertheless, okay. Oh my gosh, please, Unreal, just let me move things. Okay, so we've done that. Let's go back up to here then. So we should chuck in our little simple AI into the level, just so we have it. So let's go content, blueprints, simple character. There you are. Hello, cutie. And then we're going to spawn in the world as well. So at the moment we're spawning over there. Let's go ahead and chuck ourselves over here. We'll chuck the enemy over here. I say enemy. Who knows? Maybe they're an AI we want to be friends with. Let's just chuck them there, shall we? Okay. So there's another thing we need to set up as well, which I can't remember the purpose of. So we're going to try and see if we can remember as we go, but I'm very likely going to have to look at a reference to remind myself. So we have our queries, but then we also have... It's via the blueprint you make it, if I remember. You go blueprint, EQS... No, it's not. Query? Here, this. Environmental query context. Blueprint base. So you can do these via code as well. So we're just going to call this an environmental query context 1. Okay. So let's save what we got so far. These are the key parts you need. You need an AI character, an AI controller, a blackboard and all that, but we're just using the existing ones, okay? But if you're doing it from scratch, you'd end up having like these as all of your assets. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. So we want to, let's go back into this. We're going to be playing with that, and we're going to be playing with this. So the context query, I can't remember how that works exactly. So we might have a little look at the old documentation and see what we get from that. So you, for, what is this? This is EQS. Oh, we got some doggos to show. What? Oh, Merlin, I looked at the second pictures. I was like, they are not dogs. And then I realized these are wonderful. Have a little look at these, shall we, quickly? Look at this. Doggo, are they just yours? Or do you live with family? Or Padawan? Oh, he's a lovely looking doggo. Ah. Such a great picture. Akira and Olaf. These are lovely. Thank you for sharing your pets, dude. Thank you. Oh, I missed a picture of Pally this morning as well. Let's have a quick look at that. Look at this. Look at the fluffy. Let's call her a cat. Okay. So the EQS system, what have we got as topics in here? Can we stretch this out? No, what's the point of it being stretchy? Oh, I should say one more thing about this. Sorry, if you're doing this from scratch, you do need to go, even in modern, even though it was like added ages ago, you still need to go to editor preferences. If you type in EQS, you need to go in here and tick it. Mine was not ticked. Even though we're in version 4.25, it's still not ticked. So be wary, make sure you put that in, or things may not work for you. Yeah, that sounds fine. Did you check 26 changes? What do you mean by... What are you on about? Oh, no, I did not. Is there positive things in there? So far, haven't we learned that the latest version comes with much risk? Okay, so we need to remember what context does. That's what I'm trying to find. Okay, so query system, system overview, node reference. Oh, I was looking at an older version of this document the other day. Oh, that's bloody annoying. Okay, let's read this again. So EQS is a feature within AI. It's used to collect data from the environment. You can ask questions about the data collected through a variety of tests, which produces an item that best fits the type of questions asked. It can be called from a behavior tree and used to make decisions on how to proceed based on the results you've tested. They're primarily made up of generators. So that's what I was on about with making a grid or a donut of these. It generates a bunch of test like locations. And context, which are used as a frame of reference for any tests or generators. So is the context we're going to use like the player that we want to hide from? So you might say, from this player, is there a line of sight to me? Or wouldn't you be able to do that anyway? A built-in water system. Oh, someone told me about that. Oh, well, yeah, wasn't it Moz? Moz was in chat and wanted to show me some of the new water stuff when we were doing the water shader stuff before. Moz works with Kindred and Swords and Magic and stuff. Okay. Can be used to instruct AI characters to find best possible location that provide a line of sight to the player in order to attack the nearest health or ammo pickup, or closest to cover point, among other possibilities. Once you have a general understanding about it, quick start, which will walk you through a start to end example. Oh, there is a quick start. Is this the same one I looked at yesterday? No, this is different. Yeah, so they say to turn that on, right? They make a bunch of these. So they're making one called an EQS defined player. They're doing an AI controller as well. We don't need to worry about that. Right, a context, and they call it player context. So, okay, this is what we're interested in doing. Provide a single actor. Establish a context for the EQS system of the player character that will be used in tests. Okay, so I think is if you want to use something else as a point of reference during your test, like the context, essentially. I guess the wording, the naming for it is good. So let's rename this then. This is going to be our player. So if we go into here, we go into our override, and you can provide a single actor. Okay, you can give a bunch of locations and you can tell it how to get those. So this could be like a spawn point. You might have an array of different spawn points or something like that. No problem, Morton Bartness. Feel free to share what you're doing if you ever want to with a picture in chat or in the Discord. But good luck UVing. So we're probably going to do a single actor, I'd imagine. And in here, we need to say how are we going to get our actor. So I don't know if we do like get local player controller and then get the actor or something. So they do a single actor, get player character. That's all they do. Runtime as context. You can do it via CPP as well. Right, okay. So get player character. Was it character we were doing? Yeah. Okay, sweet. Well, obviously not great for multiplayer games, that, but let's just go with it for now. Okay, so that's a way for us to get an actor for it to use later. Let's remember that. Now here, we're going to do a thing to find the player. So we want to make our AI be able to find the player. Let's have a look how we do this. So let's rename this, right? To find player. Like so. Let's jump into it. And it's just like a graph, just like we have with the behavior trees as well. So what are we going to do in here? So first you generate. I remember generate is one of the first things we do. Generators, actors of a class, current locations, points. You can do a bunch of points on a grid. Okay, let's just see how they do this in the example, shall we? So they're going to do a bunch of points on the grid here, I think. There are several different generators that are used to create items in relation to a context. Those items are then used in tests. For example, how far is item X from context Y? From all the results of the test, the items are culled or scored and can be used to determine what is the best or lowest. Okay. So in this example, we're going to generate a series of points on a grid that the AI will put into a position where it can see the player character. So the idea here is we're going to chuck down a bunch of points. So instead of just going to the player character, we're going to generate a bunch of points around it. And then we're going to prioritize those based on their vision or their proximity to the player using that context. So let's go ahead and make a grid to begin with. And we can see the half size, this is 500, space between is 100. So if we take this off here, let's have a look how this stuff works, shall we? That might help us understand what's going on with it. Save it, let's go into here. And we should now, if we select our test pawn, and our test pawn, we go ahead and select our test query, which is going to be our this. Okay, sweet. So that is a 500 by 500 grid, right? I'm guessing if we make this smaller, you get loads more of them, right? If you make it larger, you get less of them. So if there's 500 half size and 100 between, we should be getting either 12 or 10 across. I can't do the quick math. I think it's, or 11 we've got. Yeah, 100 through each one, but including the last. Okay, so what we can do here then is we can change the shape. So if I change this to... Oh, hang on. Let's have a look at more things on this before we do that. So the context, you can give it a context here. So the querier is the default, but I could give it my player, right? The thing is, the player doesn't exist at the moment, right? That's the tricky thing with this, is that... Why is it on rotation instead of just let me move it? It doesn't have the player as a context, right? Because there is no one playing it at the moment. Maybe if I press play... Oh, crikey, get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Okay, let me just F8 out of this. Do I have my testing pawn? Can we see it in here or no? No, we still can't. Okay, never mind. That idea is gone to the pan. Let's just stick... I imagine that's what that does. We're just going to stick with the query for now then. Okay, so by here you can give it up and down in terms of where to make the points, I guess, right? So let's go back to this. I think this allows you to choose points higher and lower. It's not going to just... So if I took this... Oh, crikey, I made it really high by accident. I didn't mean to go that high. That's project down as well. So if we go higher, I wonder if we can go like... Let's just go 10,000. I was wondering whether that would make points on... this isn't nav meshable, right? Hold on, let's see my nav mesh. Nav mesh? There you are. Okay, so nav mesh, we want to make you a little bit taller. Where are you, dearest nav mesh? Down here, right? So we're going to try and scale you... Oh, where are you? This. Let's make this a little bit taller. Okay, so we now have points up here, right? These are too narrow. That's why they're not showing up. But we can see some points up here. So we're not going to keep it like that. But what I'd like to see is just, does this mean that when we click on this, do we now get points up on these? Yes, we do. And if we take that back, I think 24 might be enough for it to locate those. But if we take this to like 10 or 1, it doesn't find those. Great. So we can see what that's doing there, right? Okay, that's fine. Post projection vertical offset. So I think this is a way for you to move them all up a bit. Yes. So you might want to, if you want to spawn them higher up, because this is going to, whatever one wins the query, so when it runs the query and it'll choose the best result, it's going to give you that point exactly. So you may not want it to be bang on the floor. And and actually, no, say you're doing like a head height thing and you're trying to say, do I have line of sight of it? You might want to get it from the head area of your player, because that will represent, can I see over this? Say we're trying to look at the player from this angle here. If the point was on the floor, I can see the player, right? However, there's a way to move. I forgot how to move it. Oh yeah, but if the point is in the air, I will be able to see the player. So the offset can be useful for that reason, I imagine. Okay, that's cool. Let's change back our this as well, our nav mesh. It's a little too fat at the moment. We didn't want it to be that high. Okay, that's fine. Let's save that. Okay, so if we want different shapes, then if you don't want to do it like we need to move this to regenerate it. Can you see it still thinks these are valid, but if you move it, it can't do it anymore. So you do need to do that to update it, but that's just an optimization anyway, so that it doesn't constantly have to run the query until you move it and let go. I don't think it updates in real time as well. You can make it, but that's very intensive on the CPU. So you don't really typically need to do that. So, okay. So I'm happy with that, but let's have a look at some of the different shapes that we can get out of this, shall we? No one reminded me to put the kettle on in 5 minutes. Curses. I'm on it now. I'll be right back. I've been talking all day today. I really feel it in my throat. It's feeling strained. Okay. So we're going to have a look at the different generations, right? So we want to go to generate. Let's do a donut. Let's get rid of this. You're only meant to have one generator. What have we got? We got ourselves a little donut. How's it doing this then? Okay, you can kind of see the shape that we're getting. So the inner radius, outer radius, number of rings. Let's make more rings, shall we? 6. Okay, that helps us see the shape. Points per ring, if we want more of those, we can go ahead like that. Okay, so if you imagine a circle being drawn on the outside and a circle being drawn on the inside, like this. Can you be more specific? I don't know what the data binding is. Oh, maybe you can bind this number to something. They have like UI stuff with bindings like that. You can do a spiral pattern. Ah, so it's a little ish uniform as well, see? So it might be a way to make it feel a little more organic, the points that they choose, that it's not like an obvious to detect grid. And based on your map as well, it might be nicer. Okay, so let's go ahead with that for now then, right? Number of rings, let's just go for 4. And the points per ring, we've probably got too many in the center, I feel here. So let's reduce this down to 6. Okay, so that's one option that we had there. What else did we have? Generate. So what does a cone do? Oh, okay, cone is quite cool. It's not, we can actually see them without having to delete them all. So I guess you can kind of imagine how this is going to work, right? Cone degrees. Oh, would you look at that? So choose a point in your rough facing direction where to go. That could be cool. Okay, that gives you, that changes the fan angle that you've got in there. That's pretty cool. This gives you a further range. Okay. And these are the same settings as we've had elsewhere as well. That's as expected. That's pretty cool. What else have we got? Circle, cone. We haven't done circle, have we? What is going on with this one? Generate items on circle around query. It's found like really cool locations, but I don't know what. Is it doing like one big circle around it in all directions wherever it hits? I think it is, isn't it? We can test this by moving it around just a little bit. Hold on, what is this? Oh, we have 2 of them. Okay, so if we move this, yes, that's what's happening here. I think we'll lose a bunch of those points. If we went into here, they'd all be condensed. Oh wow, you can actually see the circle there. There we go. So these are all the points that you can see around it. That's pretty ace. And you can set an angle. So it's like the end points of what you can see. It's nice to visualize there, and you can see these when you're debugging as well. You can see the points and how they score, which is quite interesting. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Let's have a look at the other options we got. Generators, active. So you can just go ahead, I guess, right here, I can say actors of class, and I can choose, let's say I want to find a Dan's default pawn. Is this failing? Is that why it's not showing it? Let's get rid of the showing. Okay, so it can't find anything at the moment because there's not one of them in here, right? So let's go into here, find a Dan's default pawn, drop one in. Then let's move this. Still isn't finding it. I was hoping it would. Generate only actors, search radius 500. We are near it. We've definitely got one of them. It's right here. Oh, it was there. Maybe it's inside it and we can't see it. Because it's a circle as well. I bet there's one in there now when we click back on this. Yeah, great. So it is working. So it'll find any examples of that. Okay, that's quite cool. So you can basically say, find me any player. And that'll generate you like a target, perhaps, or like a point of interest to go. Okay. That's cool. What else with the generators? I need to go and pour that hot drink as well. Composite. Not too sure about that. Current location. That's just going to be where I am at the moment, I think, right? Yeah, maybe for some reason you need to just use the current location. I'm not too sure why we'd use that one. Composite. Generators. Oh, so you can build up a combination of them. So if you want to do circle and a pathing grid. Oh, let's just say grid. To be honest, a circle will be confusing. Let's just do a cone instead. Okay, let's try that and move this. We're not getting any points visualized at the moment. Yeah, I'm not too sure how that works. But then does it need to be like a blueprint of it where you can set up the rules? Or do you... hold on. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, well, let's not bother doing it for now. We can understand. That's how you merge two together. Do you have anything to say before I leave? You are beautiful. We'll start doing UI tomorrow at some point, yeah, mate? If you have specific plans you want to get done tomorrow, Brainoid, send me a message, like when you would prefer to stream. I've been doing stuff all day today since I woke up, so I'm a bit tired today, so I'm not too sure when I'll wake up and how I'll feel. But if you have a priority, I'd happily work with you, dude. And yes, that sounds good to me. And hopefully, Brain, as well, the EQS stuff you start. I don't know how much you played with it, but I remember you saying you couldn't get anything to work with it before. So I'm not too sure if this is new stuff to you or whether it was like using it once you've got it that you hadn't seen. In C++. Right. Okay, fair. Okay, so we got this first point. I think we've played with all of these, right? So let's just go ahead and do a grid for now. So we got a grid around us. You see it does avoid collision stuff, which is nice as well. So it does as well as it can based on the collision in the map. Well, it's not the collision, sorry, it's the nav mesh it uses. Lovely. Okay, sweet. All right, you get going then, dude. I don't want to keep you any longer. Okay, so from here, we set the space between and all that jazz. Okay, then we want to do tests against it, right? I think we can probably guess how this is going to be. We just say, how far is it? Distance. Okay, let's start to see this. So, have I got that pawn in the level still over here? Yes, I have. Great. So let's just whack this over here. And then we want to change this to say, we want to add a test, a distance. And we want to say the distance is going to be to the, not to myself, but to my player. This is why we made that context. Okay, so the range, we don't have a minimum here and a maximum. So I guess, should they be I'm trying to work out what the min and max would be here. What if we move this in here? No. Okay, max, let's just take that up to 100. Does that change anything? No. Oh, hold on. The player it's not gonna work at the moment because this isn't the player. This query, let's try and make a different query. Context, shall we? Context is in Blueprint. Let's go with that and let's just say environmental query context, and we'll just say Dan's pawn for now. So it's going to look for any of these. Well, we need to make it do that. So we override the provide single actor. And the resulting actor will be, can we do like a get all actors of class? I'd imagine we can do something like this. And we want to get done's that one. Like so. Okay, compile, save. Let's now try and change this query to use that. And then let's click on, it's working. Okay, good. So none of these are close enough to it because of this distance thing. So if I change this to something large, like the area is about 1500, I think. There we go. We can see that they're all getting a score based on how close it is to it. So if we want to find the player, you can see it's getting a negative score here. So we want to flip this. There's a way you can do it in here where you can... Do you do -1? Yeah, okay, so you can flip it in that way. And this tells you, this makes the points higher based on that threshold. I guess what we're also getting is okay, welcome back. Sorry about that. Streamlabs did that nice thing where it just crashes. Yay. We continue. Thank you, Morton. We should be back now. Okay, so what we did, we just changed the scoring factor, and I was just drawing attention to we have a test purpose. So you can score stuff, but you can also filter results. So if we make this range a little smaller, so let's just say it's like, let's go for 500. So at the moment, these are getting a 0 score. If we just do filter, then that just says which ones are you gonna, are you considering? It's either yes or no, rather than saying which ones are closest. So all of these are equally valid. So you might have that as like, make sure I'm in attack range of the player. And you might not prefer which one's closest to it, but you might just want to say they need to be within the attack range, which is 500 here, for example. And then it can choose a random one out of those. You can do both score and filter, or you can do a score only. And you can see the score one. Was that... Okay, so with the score, you don't get to set a maximum value. I guess it's based on all points. Do you want to look at this as well? Sorry, just people. Not enough memory to show this page. This is my Twitch page. Like, using Unreal, it just kills my memory. I'm not continually running this all the time. It's only when I move it and let go. So it might crash again, unfortunately. If it does, I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about it. Anyway. Okay, so this is cool so far. Let me just have a little look at that tutorial page down here. So they add a test. We can have a look at the different tests, I guess, right? They do distance, filter, that you give the context, and bool match is for the filter. Disabling bool match, we are stating that we want the filter at any points that cannot see the... Okay, so the bool match must be the... Let's change it to filter. I don't think we have that bool match, do we? How would we flip this, though? Yeah, so it seems like since they made this page, it's a little bit different. Test purpose, score. They've got score only. No, sorry, it's this one. Filter only. Item offset, context offset. They have a filter. There's just a bool match in filter. Oh, geometry trace. Is that any different? No, I can't see. Yeah, I have no idea. Well, maybe it's a dated thing. I'm not 100%. Okay. Well, we kind of know what's going on there at least. Anyway, let's see. Do they do anything else interesting in here? Oh, maybe it's because one is distance. So it's a true or false return, whether you can see them. So maybe that's what the Boolean is. That would make sense. And then they talk about how they're doing it in a behavior tree. So we'll come to that in a moment. I'm just going to go and pour my hot drink. And we'll have a look at making a new test after that. So it won't be a mo. Okay, back. Okay, let's try finish looking at this EQS system then. So, different kind of tests you can do, and that's the way that you score these things. So let's get at this score before we carry on the score how we want it to be. I'd like it to be a score, and it's going to be based on the distance. We've inverted it, and that's fine. If you want to prioritize this, you could do like -2, and it looks the same. But what happens is when it combines all of the scores of the tests, this one will have like twice the priority. So that's something to be aware of as well. You can also do, constant. You definitely wouldn't want that actually. I'm wondering, can you do like a curve? Ah, that's the sort of thing I was looking at. 6 months.
Score, 6 month unlocked.
Hello there, Pauline. Thank you for the 6 months to the Silver Elephant Club.